Three. Come on. Tell it to him, Deacon. I'll give everybody titles this morning. Hey, we're going to work with who's in the house. Okay, so everybody's not in the house, but we're going to work with it. Am I right? Yeah.
All right.
I believe the Lord wants to do something. And it's up to us to allow him to do it.
Yes.
I'm not going to rehearse everything I said in the last 2 weeks because, I always get in trouble. I go over there and start talking about some of the previous highlights, and all of a sudden, I'm wasted a whole half hour on summarizing. You already did the work, I know. I know y'all listen to the tapes, teachings, go over YouTube. I know that. I know I got a disciplined house. They can take some time out of their schedule that is not that busy to the point where they can look at all the kids like this. That can't, that made up their mind this is a lifeline for them in this season because they're sick and tired of being religious. I have no room for religion. Amen. In all its varied form. It has desecrated God's inheritance. And it has not allowed the earth to yield its increase, which is us, right? The seed that Jesus sowed at Calvary must come to fruition. And it must be predicated upon our growth. But how many know growth is, before you can even try to grow, you need reception. You need to be able to receive it, right? So we need to be able to receive the instruction that God has given us through this teaching. So we talked about some of the things. I said I wouldn't go over them. I'm just going. Oh yeah, we chopped it up, dissected, cried out one another about what religion is. We looked at the Latin form. We looked at the etymology, the definition, and broke it down in the first teaching. And we were able to touch on the circumference of tradition, and we said how devastating tradition is, and how all of us been exposed to tradition, and even in non-denominational churches, we still are traditional, y'all. I know it was hard the first two. I'm hoping on y'all today. We got less heads to work with, so we should be able to knock it out of the park. But anywho, tradition, all of us, everybody, been made to drink from that cup of abomination. But I believe we're going to sober up. Anybody? We're not going to continue to stagger at the promises of God. Sir. Sooner or later, the promise of God is going to show up.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Amen. Put your name on it.
Yes, sir.
But it can't happen if we still participate and flirting with religion, tradition, because we say tradition is the power base for all of religions. Remember, about 10 years ago, I said it was like 38,000. We are up. The ante has risen. It is 52,000 denominations and counting. Now, that don't sound too good, do it? That probably means there's a lot of confusion going on. Anyway, that's how you do the house, too. Same way that we do that. So there's a lot of confusion. But I believe because we're in the spirit of Reformation, a lot of the kinks and the wrinkles are being worked out. Amen?
Amen.
As we humble ourselves under His mighty hand, God's going to lift us up out of those traditions, out of those religious tendencies. Amen. Out of the church as usual, status quo. Going through the motions, going through the routines, because that's ultimately what it is. So let's look at these characteristics that tradition has brought to the church. Even though these characteristics is a product of the religious mind, the religious mind could not exist without tradition. Right? And we know the reinforcer for tradition and the religious mind is denominationalism, which I skimmed it, talked about it 20 minutes, and I said, you know what? That deserves its own teaching. So I put it in immunity and said, we're going to talk about what it means to be denominated and why we got to address the elephant in the room. We got to get free from it, y'all. Amen? Amen. Okay. All right. First thing we said about the religious mind and religion itself, I said you cannot find spiritual legitimacy in religion. Some people feel safe, just say, well, you know, I go to this church, I go to that church. Huh? My pastor is such and such. And, you know, we feel that way. You know, it's the fig leaves that we wear. And we think, you know, just as long as I join the church, it's okay. Am I right? So we get bound and locked into a system of thinking. And we think, well, I'm learning. I'm not what I used to be, and I'm not doing what I used to do. But you're not doing what God called you to.
Yes, sir.
Right? Well, I ain't going here, and I ain't going there, but you ain't getting closer to Him. Because ultimately, that's what it's about. So our little checklist we run through, they need to be scrapped. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
They need to be scrapped. There should be one person on your list. Don't say your wife, your husband, your kids. What's the person that needs to be on your list?
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. And Him crucified. That's the only thing that needs to be on your list. So you cannot find spiritual legitimacy in religion. You won't even find it in revivals. You won't find it in a prayer line, both physically on the altar or on the telephone. You won't find legitimacy because it's still a form of religion. You gotta make sure that you follow the signposts. You know, I was sharing with Elder this week. I said, man, I ain't gonna tell you where I was at. I was on the throne. And most men know what that is. And God visits me in all places. There's no place that's off limits for Him.
Amen.
Amen. I can be watching the game, watching Alabama. You can speak something. I'm like, oh Lord. But, you know, I hate those moments when I'm watching the Warriors, and then all of a sudden He wants to interrupt service. But I was telling him, I said, God woke me up and told me, you know, and something came into my spirit about signposts. Anybody ever heard signposts?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got them. You got them on blocks, right? It tell you what street it is. Am I right?
Yeah.
Y'all looking. Let me get right to the point then, because I wanted to kind of lead it up to a crescendo, but that ain't gonna work. Just give it to you because y'all want it. Because you know our minds start flipping and trying to figure out where he's going with it. But anyhow, I awakened with this in my mind. When we were kids, we used to go to Birmingham. Just about every 2-3 years, we used to go there and see my grandmother, right? And we used to be so excited because we know that we get ready to go down south, you know, getting out of where we were raised at on the mountaintop where, you know, and we were like, man, we get ready to just, you know, just have a good time, just hit the road.
Amen.
You know, you didn't have to twist our arm, we just knew we were getting ready to, you know, do something different.
Right.
And we just wanted to be around our grandparents. And we know that was the time we were with our grandparents, we were going to be on the road. And then, you know, some perks with it, you know. You know that you get hungry, you're going to stop over and get a couple, you know, things like a Snicker or some chips or a drink. Am I right? So you do that. But you do the ride. I mean, you thought about the ride like that. 14 hours. You sleep 4 times. I mean, you know, we used to sleep, you know, you know, sometimes you go to sleep when it's light out and you wake up and it's, you know, it's still light. Or vice versa. You just do like, wow, when is it over? You know, like that, one of my sisters, ain't gonna say which one, was talkative. And she would always ask my grandfather, are we there? I was on her side with that one too, because I was like that too. I'm like, yeah, I want to know when we're going to get there. You didn't have GPSs in the early years. I'm going to tell you what year that was. In the 70s, and you know what I'm saying? You didn't have a GPS. You had to stop, pull over, and you had to go to a rusty gas station and get a map. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes the map, if you go into a city, the map, if you leave in Illinois, sometimes you can't find the map in Illinois. You have to cross the border to get the map. So if you want to know about Alabama, you had to get across the state line.
Yeah.
Right? So we was uninformed most times. Grandfather knew where he was going, but we didn't know. So what we did in order to try to ease the burden a little bit so we wouldn't be anxious, besides counting the cows and the horses. Anybody did that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all of us did that. You know, we didn't know no better. We had no gadgets. We had no electronic devices. Amen. Like we had no cell phone. You can just go to your cell phone and get on TikTok and get on all the other stuff. But you know, we wasn't progressed. We was still in the past. The deep, dark ages. But anyhow, they had these little signs on the highway. Am I right? Big green ones, remember? Yeah. And every time you got so far on the side, it would tell you 230 miles from Birmingham. Then they'll tell you 210 miles from Birmingham. And as you go, you knew by the signposts that you was getting close. And then when you got to the point when you made it into the city, you still want to know how far you're from the house. And then it let you know when you get off the highway, you know, you have made it to Birmingham. Yes, welcome to Birmingham, Alabama. That's the same thing with us. Just bring it to where we are now. You know, that's what God does with us with teachings and things like that. We may not know how to get there. But he put enough things in our life so that we can look on the side of the highway and see the signposts. Yeah. And then it takes the anxiety of getting there. And so I'm trying to take away your anxiety of getting to the destination. Our destination ain't heaven. It's in the package, but that's not God's intention. Because heaven's coming here. Those that are watching for the first time, it's coming here. The last 2 books talks about that there was a tabernacle of God that's with me. It came down from heaven, so it's coming here. Our destination is to be, I already know y'all know this. What is it? Be conformed to, yeah, it took a while, but yeah. To be conformed to his image, right? Our destination. So this is why it's imperative that we have teaching over and over, and for me to reiterate what I'm about to reiterate. I had to set the backdrop. All right? We have a destination in mind. Just listen to the signposts. That's what the teachings are. All right? That's why it's important for you to study, to follow up, to go to YouTube. Amen. Well, when I got 18, I made up my mind. Most of us voted our brain out once we graduated, got that diploma, your brain just left.